same, it's all 3 minutes.
Well, you can kick me under the
Thank you.
table.
I'm right here.
He's the one that gave it to us.
Oh, I'm right there. I know. If I look like that when I'm 7.
Yeah, Tucson is so filthy. It's disgusting.
Wayne, was that at the one on the lake or the one on the lake? Because that's some pretty desolate places. Yeah, I'll have staff look into that. Yeah, it's not where you want to be, right? Thank you for sharing. Jeez. You want some? Yes.
Well, good evening and welcome to your town hall, having reached the hour of 6 o'clock. Hereby call to order the meeting of the Sahuarita Town Council.
Mayor, is your mic on?
Nope. Thank you. And like to inform everybody, as always, tonight's meeting will be broadcast live. We're going to suspend our regular meeting briefly to conduct 2 Community Facilities District meetings after the Pledge of Allegiance. Tonight, invocation will be given by Mark Felix, Deputy Town Clerk, and then he'll follow immediately with the Pledge of Allegiance. Mark?
Heavenly Father, thank you for the opportunity to gather in service to our community. We ask for your presence to guide over our thoughts and actions in this evening. Grant us wisdom in our discussions, clarity in our decisions, and compassion in our leadership. We pray for continual blessings over our town, our residents, and all who work to make Sahuarita a better place. In Jesus' name we pray, amen.
Thank you.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
At this time, I'll suspend the town council meeting and commence with our Rancho Sahuarita Community Facilities District. I'll call that meeting to order of the Rancho Sahuarita Community Facilities District. And Madam Clerk, if I can have a roll, please.
Board Member Gillespie, absent. Board Member Lisk.
Here.
Board Member Lytle.
Here.
Board Member Morales.
Here.
Board Member Priolo.
Here.
Vice Chair Egbert. Here. Chair Murphy.
Here.
Quorum present.
Thank you. Next is called to the public, but it's for the Community Facilities District. At this time, any member of the public invited to address the district board on any issue which is on tonight's consent agenda or any issue which the district board can lawfully act upon at a future meeting. Pursuant to Arizona open meeting laws, the district board may not discuss items, but individual members of the district board may respond to criticism made by those who have addressed the district board, may ask staff to review the matter, may ask the matter to be placed on a future agenda. I don't have any speaker cards for the Rancho Sahuarita Community Facilities District. Anybody like to address the district on that item? Seeing no movement, I will close the call to the public. Move to item number 4, which is the consent agenda, and entertain a motion at this time.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, signify by aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Next, we move to item number 5, Madam Clerk.
Discussion and possible action to adopt Resolution 2025-0034, adopting the Rancho Sahuarita Community Facilities District Fiscal Year 26 budget.
Thank you. And A.C. Mariotti, our district treasurer for the Rancho Sahuarita Community Facilities District, will be presenting the budget. And then each of our, we have this one, we have Quail Creek, and we have our town budget. Each of those require a public hearing, and I'll open that up after the treasurer briefs us. Good evening.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. So tonight, I will present you with the fiscal year 2026 budget for adoption for the Rancho Sahuarita Community Facilities District. The budget is programmed at $9,233,410. The budget is in balance, which means that the financing sources are equivalent to the financing uses. This budget is lower than the current year budget by $8.1 million, which is a 47% decrease over the current year, or below the current year. And it's lower because there are fewer funding sources next fiscal year than there are in the current fiscal year, and that's namely because of spending our bond proceeds. Okay, so this particular pie chart looks at the district's revenues and sources. It provides the composition of where we get the money from to pay for all the things that we want to do in the district. You can see that the vast majority, 79% of the total resources, come in the form of beginning fund balances, totaling $7.3 million. And that's going to be the residual of our unspent bond proceeds. So there's going to be a sizable amount that's going to be spent in the current fiscal year, but there's still quite a bit left over from the bonds that were issued in 2022 that will roll over to next fiscal year. The district levies a property tax, which comprises 16% of the total resources for the district. And that totals $1.5 million. That comes from a tax rate of $4.99 per $100 of net taxable assessed property values of all property within the district. This rate is the same as it's been since 2018, when the first round of general obligation bonds were issued in the district. Developer contributions total $311,000, or 3% of the total resources, and that's used to subsidize our property tax collections to make payments on the debt obligations on the bonds that were issued. So the tax levy itself is not sufficient to pay the debt service, and the developer has an agreement with the district to make up the difference whenever those tax collections fall short. Our unspent bond proceeds and tax collections earn interest as they sit in the trust accounts. And we've programmed investment income at $137,000 for that. This slide provides information on how the district is going to use those resources, so where the money's going to go to. You see that the largest spending category, $7.3 million, is for capital outlay. That will acquire roads and as well as a railroad crossing from the district's developer. And all of that is financed from those previously issued general obligation bonds. Then we have district principal and interest payments, which total $1.9 million, or 20% of the total budget. Then we have operational costs rounding out the expenditure side of things, about 1% of the total budget, and that would pay for administration of the district engineer, and street and right-of-way maintenance costs. There are no ending balances, as the district is expected to use all of its resources during the fiscal year. So then the final steps before the budget can be adopted would be to hold that public hearing that you referred to, Mr. Chairman. Then after the public hearing, you'll have an opportunity to make some changes or adjustments to the budget. The only thing you can't do is increase it, as that limit was set during the tentative budget adoption a month ago. And then if you so choose, the resolution before you, if approved, would adopt the fiscal year 2026 budget in the previously mentioned amounts, and also establish that property tax levy at the aforementioned rate. Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Any questions for the treasurer before I open up the public hearing? Hearing none, I'll open the public hearing. Anybody like to address us on the Rancho Cerrito Community Facilities District? Seeing no movement, I will close the public hearing and entertain a motion at this time.
I'll move to adopt the resolution number 2025-0034.
I second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Carries unanimously. Thank you. Having no more further business for the Rancho Cerrito Community Facilities District, we will adjourn that meeting, and now I will commence with the Quail Creek Community Facilities District, and hereby call that meeting to order. And Madam Clerk, may I have a roll call?
Board Member Lisk.
Here.
Board Member Lytle.
Here.
Board Member Gillespie, absent. Board Member Morales.
Here.
Board Member Priolo.
Here.
Chairperson Egbert.
Here.
Chairperson Murphy.
Here.
Quorum present.
Thank you. Next is called to the public. At this time, any member of the public is invited to address the district board on any issue which is on tonight's consent agenda or any issue which the district board can lawfully act upon at a future meeting pursuant to Arizona open meeting laws. The district board may not discuss the items, but individual members of the district board may respond to criticism made by those who have addressed the district board and may ask the staff to review the matter and may ask the matter to be placed on a future agenda. I don't have any cards for the Quail Creek Community Facilities District. Anybody like to address the board on that item? Seeing no movement, I will close the call to public and move to item number 4, which is the consent agenda, and entertain a motion at this time.
I move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Next, we move to item number 5, Madam Clerk.
Discussion and possible action adopting resolution number 50 of the Quail Creek Community Facilities District, adopting the fiscal year 2026 final budget.
Thank you. And Mr. Mariotti is going to be a busy person this evening. And if you would continue on the Quail Creek Community Facilities District.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. I present to you the fiscal year 2026 budget for adoption. And the budget is programmed at $1,107,640. The budget is required to be balanced, and in fact it is, in that our financing sources are equivalent to our financing uses. The 2026 budget is higher than the current budget by $22,000, which is a 0.2% increase. This slide provides you with the district's revenues and resources. The district levies a property tax, which provides 98% of the resources for the year, and that totals $1.09 million. The combined tax rate next year will be $2.26 per $100 of net taxable assessed property value for all the properties located within the district boundaries. This rate is lower than the current rate by 14 cents, which represents a 6% decrease in the rate. And as the district continues to grow with new development, and as property values continue to rise, this tax rate will continue to go down as it has for the last several years. In fiscal year 2030, the debt service will be paid off, and then this rate will go essentially to zero. There will be a residual tax rate of 30 cents per $100 of net taxable assessed valuation at that point in time, and it'll stay that way unless the district were to issue additional bonds sometime in the future. So we've also programmed $5,000 for potential interest earnings. That would be in the form of our property tax collections. We put those in trust, and while it is held in trust before our debt service payments are made, it earns interest, so we have a little bit for that. And then our beginning fund balances are $13,000, and that's basically money that's set aside for future debt service payments. And this is how the money is going to be spent. You see that 86% of it is all for debt service, $953,000. So just paying principal and interest payments and some banking fees on the general obligation bonds that were issued back in 2006. And again, those will be paid off in 2030. Apart from that, we have operations at $154,000, only 14% of the total. And that will pay for district administration, street and right-of-way maintenance costs, and also for a portion of the Quail Creek Veterans Municipal Park costs. No ending fund balances here, as the district will consume all of its resources during the year. So with that, the final steps would be to have a public hearing, at which point then the board can have discussion and make changes to the budget that's before it. And then, if you so choose, the resolution, if approved, would adopt the fiscal year 2026 budget in the previously mentioned amount, and also establishes the property tax levy rate at the amount mentioned beforehand as well.
Great,
Mr.
thank you.
Chairman.
Any questions for the district treasurer? Seeing none, I'll open up the public hearing on the Quail Creek Community Facilities District. Anybody have any questions on that or comments? Seeing no movement, I will close the public hearing and entertain a motion at this time.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
I move to adopt resolution number 50.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? We're adjourned from our Quail Creek Community Facilities District and now return to our regular council meeting. Madam Clerk, may I have a roll call?
Councilmember Gillespie, absent. Councilmember Lisk.
Here.
Councilmember Lytle.
Here.
Councilmember Morales.
Here.
Councilmember Priolo.
Here.
Vice Mayor Egbert.
Here.
Mayor Murphy.
Here.
Quorum present.
Thanks. Tonight, we have two presentations. First, I'll present a proclamation declaring August 3rd through 9th, 2025 is National Health Center Week to John Reardon, of the CEO of UCHC. Followed by that, Lacey Simmons, our events supervisor, and Alex Magallanes, our economic development specialist, will present an overview of the 2025 Fiesta Sahuarita. The reason we're doing this tonight is this is our last meeting. We won't have a meeting in July, and our first meeting is in August 18th. So we don't want to miss National Health Center Week. So, John, anybody who would like to join us at the podium?
I'm always behind them in the picture.
Do you want to grab the picture first? Okay, great. You can hold that. There it is. You got it? Thanks. Stand up, and then we'll face that way, and I'll read it on there. Whereas for 60 years, community health centers have provided high-quality, affordable, comprehensive primary and preventative health care in our nation's medically underserved communities, delivering value to and having a significant impact of America's healthcare system. Whereas the country's largest primary care network, community health centers, are the health center's home for over 32.5 million Americans in over 16,000 communities. 1 in every 10 people in the United States gets their care at community health centers. Whereas community health centers serve rural, suburban, island, frontier, and urban populations, often providing the only accessible and dependable source of primary care in their communities. Nationwide, they serve 1 in every 5 residents in rural areas. Whereas in Pima County, United Community Health Center, UCHC, has proudly provided care for 40 years and now operates a network of 11 clinics across southern Arizona, ensuring that individuals and families, regardless of background or income, have access to quality health care services close to home. Whereas community health centers like UCHC play a critical role in addressing chronic disease, expanding access to primary care, and keeping individuals out of costly emergency care settings. Whereas community health centers offer integrated services beyond primary care, including oral health, behavioral health, nutrition, pharmacy, and vision, supporting whole person health. UCHC continues to grow its services to meet the evolving needs of the communities it serves. Whereas community health centers are governed by patient majority boards, empowering patients to help guide healthcare decisions and priorities. Whereas UCHC, like healthcare centers across the country, is a locally governed small business that contributes to the local economy and supports job creation, employing physicians, nurse practitioners, behavioral health professionals, outreach workers, and other essential staff. Whereas community health centers are proven models for overcoming barriers to healthcare access and improving health outcomes while lowering system-wide healthcare costs. Whereas in 2023 alone, community health centers conducted more than 3.6 million cancer screenings, helping 65% of patients control their hypertension and supported 71% in managing diabetes, outcomes echoed in the care provided by UCHC's dedicated team. Whereas community health centers are often first responders during public health crises, including natural disasters, disease outbreaks, and behavioral health emergencies. UCHC continues to lead in providing mobile and school-based care across rural and underserved areas. Whereas National Health Center Week offers an opportunity to recognize the work of nearly 1,500 community health center organizations and more than 16,000 service delivery sites, including these right here in Pima County. Now therefore be it resolved that I, Tom Murphy, the mayor of the town of Sahuarita, on behalf of the town council, do hereby proclaim August 3rd through 9th, 2025 as National Health Center Week, and testimony whereof I have hereunto set my hand and caused to be affixed the seal of the town of Sahuarita on this 23rd day of June, 2025. Congratulations. Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you. John, did you want to say a couple words? Not necessary, but, and take that with you.
I'll keep it brief. It's just an honor to be a part of United Community Health Center, who's been a staple in this community for 42 years and going. So anything we can do to partner with our community to serve the healthcare needs of this community, we want to know. Please keep that open dialogue, and we'll work hard to be that excellent partner. Thank you.
Thanks, John. And next, Lacey and Alex, if you will come forward and present on your 2 items. And you get to choose who goes first.
All right.
And just, thanks. And yeah, there you go, speak in the mic.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. My name is Lacey Simmons. I am the event supervisor for Parks and Recreation. We are going to be talking about Fiesta Sahuarita today. Jumping back to April, we had Fiesta Sahuarita on Saturday, April 5th at Animax Park. This is one of our town signature events. We typically see a turnout greater than our other signature events throughout the year. This is an event to really celebrate our town's history and being a part of Sahuarita. This is done in a number of ways, including vendors, marketplace vendors, food trucks, swag that's handed out to kids and families, and then as well as just highlighting our culture in general. We have, this past year at Fiesta, we had 127 marketplace vendors, as well as 50 children's entrepreneur market vendors. So these are kids ages 5 to 17 who come out and set up in the kids zone area, which is on the north soccer field, Field 4 at Animax Park. And they are responsible for selling all of their own products and goods to the community. It's a great partnership that we do. It's out of Tucson, and they host markets all over the region. Additionally, we had 36 food trucks, and these were on Field 1. The aerial drone shot there, that's of our marketplace vendors that are local. Most of them are local Sahuarita residents, and that was on Fields 2 and 3 at Animax. Other key event features are Kids Zone, which I briefly mentioned, that hosted carnival rides this year at Fiesta, and it was a huge hit. The kids love those. And they're also a free event, which you don't see any other place typically. We also have our beer garden, which features 2 local beer vendors from Tucson. We had Hard Bottle and Dragoon Brewery this past year. Stage performances from local bands. Our drone show to end the night, that's done by Open Sky. We also have our shuttle system in partnership with SUSD, giveaway items such as t-shirts, stickers, that sort of thing. And then KGVY, they came out and did a live broadcasting. So here's a couple event photos, and then I'll go to the next slide where there's some more. Mayor Murphy, there's a great photo of you.
Uh-oh.
At the end of the evening, we start posting about our event survey on our social media, as well as there's QR codes that are throughout the event area for people to take the survey and give us their feedbacks and their thoughts of what they thought of the event. Some questions we ask is their overall event satisfaction, what they liked as far as the marketplace and the food vendors, and then if they're likely to attend our future events based on this one. We typically see a good number of feedback results. Here we just got over 50, and most of them are pretty positive. We also have comment sections that tell us room for improvement, that sort of thing. And we take that feedback into consideration when we're planning our next events, whether it be Fiesta the next year or even Stars and Stripes this year. So as a result of our events, we always have successes and challenges. Some successes this year were high community engagement. This is one of our highest attended events in record. We also have a diverse marketplace and food vendors. We have a popular kids zone where the lines are crazy long because they're free attractions. Our t-shirts and our stickers always go super quick. Our distribution is really successful. This year, both of our beer garden vendors sold out by 6 o'clock and they were out of the event. The drone show seems to be a good ending to the event and a good recap of the night. It seems pretty popular. As well as it introduces strong partnerships with Parks and Rec and the overall community. And then overall, our event operations went smooth. We didn't have any huge fires or problems to put out and handle. Of course, there are challenges. One of our biggest challenges this year was securing attractions. The thing about carnival rides is they're booked way in advance, especially by the local fairs, and there aren't many carnival vendors throughout the country. Ours are actually based out of state that we typically work with and have worked with in the past. Also, I was out on maternity leave for a little bit during the Fiesta planning period, so it delayed things a little bit. We were able to secure some carnival rides last minute, and they were pretty successful. Additionally, we run these events with our Parks and Recreation staff, and we have a great team. But this past year, we had 12 staff members out, which kind of limited how we were able to be in production during this event. So overall, things went off without a hitch, mostly for the public. An overall challenge that we've had is calculating our event attendance at signature events. Right now, we use a method called sampling and extraction, or exploitation, where we calculate the number of people in a 10-foot by 10-foot square each hour, and we multiply that across the event area, and then take out the unusable space. So anywhere that there's a 10 by 10 vendor or that sort of thing, we remove that from our calculation. The issue with this is double counting. And that's where we've seen a lot of error in our event attendance. If there's someone in that area, that space that we're counting the first hour, and then they're there again the second hour, they get double counted, which throws off our numbers. And when you're multiplying it by a large event space, that throws off your numbers very quickly. And it could make them extremely high. Or on the other side, if you're counting an area that's not well attended of the event space, it makes your numbers extremely low. So we've been looking for a solution to this problem that we have with our event attendance. This is where I'm going to turn it over to Alex, and he's going to get you a little insight on the next part.
Thanks.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Good to see you here, Mayor, council members, and community members. So thank you for the opportunity to present here today. On behalf of the Department of Economic Development, I want to share that we are using a new tool to track and improve the community engagement. And so to Lacey's point, the tool that they were using, or the method that they were using, it would double the numbers, or it would reduce significantly. And so moving forward, we have now onboarded this platform that it's called Placer AI. So I'm gonna walk you first through what Placer AI is, and then we're gonna take some insights into how we're measuring this data now with this amazing tool for Fiesta Sahuarita and other signature events. And we're gonna be comparing them with 2024, the events of 2024, and then see how the outreach and programming are definitely evolving. So let's get started. What is Placer AI? My apologies. There we go. All right. So Placer AI is a location intelligence platform that helps us analyze foot traffic using anonymized mobile data. So this tool will give us real-time data and historical insights, like how many people visit a specific location, how long they stay, and where they came from. So for the record, this is widely being used by other municipalities, economic developers like myself, retailers, and investors. And we use this data to understand behaviors and trends in our communities. So for us, it's becoming definitely an essential tool to measure the success of our events and public spaces. So why is it valuable to us as a town? For different reasons. It measures the economic impact on events and facilities. It helps us justify infrastructure or tourism investment, supports grant applications and business attraction efforts, and then it provides data-driven storytelling to highlight our regional influence. So this data comes from millions of mobile devices. Now let me Let me pause a little bit there because that sounds scary, right? But this is aggregated, once again, anonymously. So how does PlaceRI combine this data? So it combines this data by mobile devices, and then it combines it with aggregated census tract data from previous years. And in that way, we can have a full picture of who visits our venues, where they come from, so on and so forth. So let me give you an example. We currently have over 12,000 households in Sahuarita. And the average person, so amount of people per household, is 2.92. Now, I don't know how you make 0.92 of a person, right? But I'm assuming that AI or artificial intelligence platforms like PlaceRI will obviously aggregate that data plus the census tracts and then give us an accurate number. Now, it's not perfect, so let me give an example. This year, as a resident, right, I've been going every year to Fiesta Sahuarita. I have 3 children, right? Not all of them have mobile devices. And their friends, right, that they tag along. So this year I was at Fiesta Sahuarita with 7 kids, 1 adult, just taking care of them. And not all of them have mobile devices. And so what happens here that what PlaceRI will do is it will use AI-driven models to ensure accuracy, combining that census tract data plus mobile devices. Now, how is this data collected? It's definitely, we don't get any names, we don't see device IDs. All data is stripped from all identifiers and is completely anonymous. And so this allows us to confidently use the platform while maintaining ethical data standards. So PlaceRI will use just ensure accuracy, but at the same time, we are ensuring privacy. So even if a visitor vendor doesn't have a GPS turnout at all times, we're able to see this kind of data in parks, shopping centers, public venues, so on and so forth. And I'm sure you will have questions, and I'm definitely looking forward to those. But let me continue with the next slide, because now we're gonna jump into the case study of how we analyze this data for Fiesta Sahuarita. So as you can see, we tested the platform to look at on April 5th, 2025 and April 6th, 2024, to look at the foot traffic, the average dwelling time of the Fiesta Sahuarita. And these were, we applied a filter that was from 7 a.m. Because we really want to know, like, the vendors, right? The food suppliers, anyone who had a vendor, a tent or a spot, right? They're arriving early to set up. So we want to know those numbers. And this is what some of the findings. So key insights. In 2025, visitor volume increased compared to 2024. As you can see, it increased significantly. That's a strong signal that our events promotion and definitely the Parks and Rec department are definitely doing great at promoting and communicating interest to grow in these events. So this also validates the effort of our team, and I'm talking about the Parks and Rec in their outreach efforts, vendor variety, and then obviously family-friendly programming. And then I also highlighted our average dwelling time of how long people stayed, and this was definitely strong again, especially during peak hours. And so this means that people didn't stop by, right? They actually stayed, they engaged, they participated, they had a great time, just like I did with my family. And so that's a win for community building and for our local economy. Some other key insights is the geolocation outside of Sahuarita. We found out that more visitors came from outside of Sahuarita on 2025 to this event. And so this means that Fiesta Sahuarita is becoming a regional draw, which helps us boost tourism, retail spending, and visibility for our town. And as economic developers, I'm using this data to attract also a hotel to our town. These insights strengthen our case for continued investment in signature events. Now, I know there's a lot to look at. It may be a little bit overwhelming, but I want us to emphasize on the visitor journey event for 2025 on the lower left-hand corner, right, of the screen. Approximately 610 people visited fast food and quick service restaurant after the event. So approximately 483 people visited a shopping center after the event. So that's the local impact signature events like this are having in our town. If not already emphasized, I want to emphasize that here's another look to strengthen our programming, keeping people on site and engaged. It's not just about attendance, right? But it's definitely about participation. And so we can see on the lower right-hand corner, the household income, people that we are attracting, it continues to increase year over year. And then the dwelling time on the upper left-hand corner, people are spending more time during peak hours. What does that mean? Well, I mean, the numbers, I always like to say numbers don't lie, and so that's just saying that the event is engaging, right, for all the ages. But going back to the visitor journey, we're actively, talking about economic impact, we're actively working with Randy, the Green Valley Sahuarita Chamber, and obviously the Grow in Sahuarita program so that we can engage more of our local firms to stay open a little bit later after the event. As you can see, we want to take advantage of those 600 plus people that are going to a fast food restaurant or to get extra dining, right? And so we want our local firms to take advantage of that. And with that being said, yes. It's open for questions.
Well, I apologize. So how do you know the household income of the users that are coming to Rancho Cerrito? I mean, to Cerrito Fiesta. Yeah, right. Cerrito, there we go.
Yes. So actually, I'm going to go back to, that's a great question. So as you can see on the heat map, right, again, using that mobile device data, but also using the census tracts, that's how it combines that data, and that's how we're able to know the average household income of where we're attracting this.
Okay.
Because we know our demographics within our town?
Yes. Yes. So yes, thank you for pointing that out. So this specific screenshot that you see right now on the screen, we drew a polygon around Sahuarita, and that's how we're able to know. And it's a geofence, really, that's what it is.
Yeah.
And that's
I
how
just
we're
wanted to
able
make
know.
sure that it was like, my phone has my census data. Like, I was like,
Yes.
how are those
It's
connected?
hooked to the IRS,
Yeah,
so
I
they
was
know
just a
what
little
you
bit
filed.
concerned that's like,
Yes.
just wanted to make clarification. Thank you. I'm like, GPS, turn off.
Yeah, those are great questions, and those are the same questions that we had initially with Placer.i before we even contemplated onboarding the platform, right? We actually met with them in person in Vegas. Our town manager, Shane, Victor, our director of economic development, we have those kind of questions. Hey, where are you getting this data from, right? And it sounds a bit scary, but we don't get, actually, every time I pull one of these heat maps, it gives me a red banner that says, hey, just so you know, the exact home location, it's not showing. It's just giving you an idea of where they may be coming from.
And this is available for some of our business community to
Yes.
use. I know when we were working with potentially Roadhouse,
Yes.
having that type of information was helpful because we actually could tell how many people went up to Harkins, how many people actually went up
Correct.
to Grant, to Roadhouse Cinema, correct?
Yes, we're using this data to explore the leakage that we're having to Harkins and then Century. And I mean, it's a lot of us are going to those to the movies, right, in Tucson, especially Harkins, being that it's so close. But it's also making it attractive to tell the story, and attracting other businesses. And to your point, Mayor, yes, we have this platform available at no cost to anyone who gets involved with our Grow in Sahuarita program.
Great.
Mayor
Thank
and
you. Yes,
council, it's not just about attracting new business. It can also be used to help justify a business expanding.
Right.
Right, so think about, kind of growing our own as well. So it can work both ways.
Right.
Yes.
Thanks. Any further questions? No, it's very exciting. And making the nexus between Park and Rec signature events and the offshoots of that actually helps the restaurants, helps the shopping
Absolutely.
centers, it's not just kind of a drain, so to speak, you know,
Yeah.
for fun and entertainment.
Right.
There's actually economic development benefits from that.
Oh, absolutely, yes.
Thank you.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
it.
So, Mayor?
Yes.
Quickly, did we land on what the count was for Fiesta?
Yes,
I think
12,700.
thinking something.
Yes.
What was our estimate before we had the, sorry.
Before that,
Yeah, what was our estimate? Just curious how close we were.
Using the old system, if we did.
18,000.
18.
Ah, so we were, okay.
Yeah.
The doubling of people was really causing the, very good, nice to know.
And you could see if they're spending 150-plus minutes, you could see where the doubling would have an effect potentially, because they're here so long.
Wonderful, thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Next, we move to call to the public. Call public is now open. Individuals may speak for 3 minutes. Spokespersons 10. The council cannot discuss matters not on the agenda. However, at the end of the call to the public, council members may ask to respond to criticism, request staff to review the matter, or add the topic to a future agenda. And we have a few call to the public cards. One, John, you're on an agenda item, so I'm going to leave you for that. Doug, you had a couple, so I'm going to have you come up during the regular call to the public. And you'll see a clock ticking down on the screens. And have 3 minutes, and welcome.
Thanks, sir. Council, everybody here?
We are.
Everybody got one of these in the mail. Nowhere on here does it mention, I'm gonna make this as fast as possible, shared trash service. Nowhere. During the first meeting we had, shared trash service, it was mentioned. I have talked to Daniel twice about the contracts. Zero. We're less than a month away, or a little over a month away from starting this. Still no contracts, still no nothing on this. The neighborhood I live in, 4 blocks, a lot of people share trash service. So why hasn't this been brought up on here or anywhere else? It's been forgotten when it shouldn't be. I still think this should have been voted by the public rather than all of you. I respect you, but it should have been voted by the public. The other thing is, I'm an ex-Vietnam vet, ex-Army Ranger combat medic. Nowhere on this does it say military discount. I get roughly 30% from Waste Management. Why don't military vets get a discount on trash services getting ready to start? Concern. Proposition 403, you guys are bringing this up again. It failed miserably last time, and it will fail miserably again. I'm telling you. You were told it was going to fail. It did fail, and it will fail again. Question, fireworks. Last year they were supposed to be at Animax Park, but they were actually shut off on Man in the Maze Park. Where exactly are they going to be shut off this year? Everybody would like to know that, I'm sure, because the people in Animax couldn't see anything. This is something that I think this council should do for the people of Sarita. Is that there was a meeting last week across the street about the new bypass going in and where it's going to run through. It's going to be on the south side of El Toro Road, in the main, through where they're building houses right now. The realtors should let those people know that are buying houses in there that there's a possibility that they won't own that they will be bought out. You know that. You should tell the realtors to have something in writing to show these people that that is a possibility. Please. That is the right thing to do for those people, because nobody has any idea that didn't go to that meeting. That's it.
Thank you. Thanks for coming.
Appreciate it.
Appreciate it.
the one thing I want to ask was, when are you going to have the contracts
Well,
for the shared trash service?
Well-
When?
we can't respond at this point, but I believe some of that will come up available on item number 11.
Well, I know, but I've talked to Daniel twice, and it's just, oh, I haven't got to it, I haven't got to it, I haven't gotten to it.
Thanks.
We're a little
So I
over
just
a
want to
month.
clarify, we are not legally allowed to answer your questions during the call to the public. I know
On
it
call to
sounds
public.
weird, but we cannot. We can only hear your questions and maybe direct you to staff, but
I
that's why he said.
understand, but
Yeah, because we
everybody-
would love to answer the questions. We
The-
legally
The
can't.
clock is ticking down to,
Yep, thank you.
what, 45 days?
Rick Corrado.
Honorable Mayor Murphy, esteemed council members, town manager, and town staff. I have some questions that I'm struggling to understand. I was hoping to get some guidance and clarity from all of you. What is it about the Copper World mining project that some of us just don't comprehend? What is it that we don't understand about allowing the pollution of our air, allowing the poisoning of our water supply, the draining of our aquifer, or permanent damage to our environment that is of little or no concern to anyone? Why is it that no one recognizes Copper World just as another wolf in sheep's clothing? How soon we forget our history. Air pollution, water poisoning, and environmental catastrophe are bad enough. However, placing Sahuarita between two open pit mines with little environmental control would be disastrous. Where is the environmental impact assessment? Where are the traffic studies? However, what concerns me more than anything else is the most precious commodity that we have. And no, it's not copper, it's water. Did we not just pass recent propositions to ensure safe, clean drinking water to the region? Did we not just listen to a recent presentation by Global Water Resources ensuring clean water for years to come? How long does an aquifer last with Global Resources and FICO withdrawing 5,306 acre-feet of water per year? That's 1.73 billion gallons. That's their reported figure. Or how about Hudbay Minerals mining project withdrawing anywhere from 6,000 to 13,000 acre-feet per year? That's a minimum of almost 2 billion gallons a year. So how long do we think an aquifer is going to last, draining that kind of water? It's not going to last very long. Who thinks it's a good idea to sell our copper to a business located in a foreign country, now somewhat unfriendly, who plans to turn around and sell our rare earth copper to our known mortal enemy of the United States, China? We already find ourselves in trouble with this previous bad decision. Do we again forget our history? Who even begins to believe this project makes any business sense or in any way is patriotic or beneficial to Arizona or the United States of America? There are no royalties, only profit for Hudbay. The 4th of July is right around the corner. Isn't it time we started thinking about what's best for this nation? Isn't it time we started thinking about what is best for long-term for Sahuarita and Arizona? I've been told that this decision is out of your jurisdiction, and my response to that is perhaps. But every person on this council is a person of influence, and every one of you, each and every one of you, knows people higher up in government that will have some influence on the final decision. These are just a few of the questions that the town council needs to consider and to address. And so I thank you for your attention. I would also indicate that I gave to the clerk a letter that I sent to the governor, our state senators, our federal senators, all the supervisors. By the way, I wrote a different letter, more detailed than what I've given you, to the Board of Supervisors for Pima County. And just so you know, they voted 4-1 against the project. The only one voting for it is Steve Christie, and interestingly enough, the project is in his district. So I just want everybody to be aware that this is something that we need to be concerned about. We all live here, we have families, we have children. You know, we need to really consider what a quality of life will be if we allow this to happen. So that's what I have to say. Thank you so much again for your time.
Thanks for being here, appreciate it. David DeGroot.
My name is Dave DeGroot. I was a teacher across the street in the Sahuarita schools for a good number of years. Two of the things I was most proud of during my time of teaching were a couple of extracurricular activities, you might say. One was bringing the kids over here for debates. You remember that?
Yes, they still do it.
Good, I'm glad that's continuing. I was the one that developed that, and this introduced the kids to the political governmental process, and I'm sure there's a lot of kids out there that still have good feelings because of that. The other thing I did was, I'm very proud of, was got the kids into the Santa Rita Mountains on field trips to Madera Canyon. We panned for gold. We hiked. We had hot dog roasts, and they said that one of the principals said to me that some of the parents would come and ask for that teacher that takes the kids into the mountains, and that would have been me. And I'm still in the mountains, and that's the reason I'm here. I spend a lot of time now hiking in the mountains in retirement, and one of the places I've latched onto that's been very important to me has been Barrel Canyon in the northern Santa Ritas. It's on the other side of the ridge, the east side, not the west side. Helped organize a BioBlitz out there on March 23. We had a lot of high-level people out there studying plants and animals, and we developed a 500 sightings and 200 listing of 200 plants and animals carefully ID'd. Something hit me recently as I was at Barrel Canyon, and that's the study conducted by the University of Arizona over the last 8 years by Dr. Jennifer McIntosh. She's had students out there, and she's been out there studying the impact of toxic metals on the water out there. Well, we kind of know that. We've all heard about lead, iron, zinc, and arsenic. Those are the toxic metals we worry about from the mining operation that was just referred to. And so we've heard about those, but what hit me hard was that Barrel Canyon, on the other side of the mountains, you might say, the aquifers feed directly into the Tucson water supply. Goes from Barrel Canyon to Davidson Canyon to the Cienega watershed, Pantano Wash, and then the Rio River. And it's not just apocryphal thinking, but there is a possibility the toxics are starting to drift down already, and the University of Arizona has seen that they're increasing just the last couple of years as the activity increases up on the ridge. So I'd like to, I know the constraints that the town council has, but I'd like to just leave you with this thought very quickly. Independent long-term monitoring plan in these areas where the toxics could slowly leak, and then possibly some kind of a way to shut things down if there's danger signals from this monitoring. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for being here. Appreciate it.
And wait,
Garrett?
Mr. Mayor, I just want to thank you. My son was part of that group that you went up, and it was a fantastic experience. So thank you for your service to the kids.
Thank you,
Garrett Barca, I think. Barca? Welcome.
Thank you. First time here. First, I would like to thank everyone for their time. Over the course of a few days while my parents were in town, while walking around the lake, I collected an excessive amount of discarded fishing line, some of it still containing hooks and steel leaders. This poses a serious hazard to not only the people and pets, but also the wildlife in the area. To help address this issue, I'm proposing a two-pronged approach to reduce the litter around the lake. Firstly, installing fishing line disposal stations. Using just 3 to 4 pieces of PVC pipe, you can create a simple, cost-effective collection tubes that allow for anglers to safely dispose of it instead of being lazy and not wrapping it up and taking it with them. These devices have been implemented successfully in states such as Texas, Florida, Tennessee. The total cost, I just looked at it today, building just a quick one from Home Depot was less than $40. We add upwards of 9 around the lake. Just someone every 2-3 weeks go in there, pull out the excess of fishing line and everything. And all it is a 4-inch 90-degree tube, well, with like maybe 2 to 3 feet of PVC pipe, and then a cap so that way it holds it. The second approach would be to provide educational outreach when hosting fishing-related events. Recently, there was an event that was going on when I was walking around the lake. I think we can incorporate brief educational sessions that teach proper fishing line disposal and emphasize the angler's responsibility to protect the environment. I hope with these suggestions, we can not only promote a cleaner, safer lake environment, but also instill responsible fishing practices within our community, regardless if it's a seasoned fisherman or a beginner. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks. Randy Graff. I know this is your first time here. Welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, Mr. Town Council, staff. I just want to give the community and yourself some information on some events that we got going on. I'm sure Mr. Dilly is aware of our upcoming Elevate SGV, Sarita Green Valley Leadership Program. We are currently taking applications for it on our website. This is basically trying to develop our next round of civic leadership. It is open to anyone in the community, from young professionals all the way to retirees. And they'll go through a series. It starts, we're taking applications through August the 8th. The program will start the end of August 27th, I believe, and be once every 2 weeks, about a 3-hour session, going over a whole host of different community operations, like get up to speed on what our local government is, our healthcare system, nonprofits, our business community, public safety, and more. So it'll run for every other week for about 4 months, and it'll finish early December. So that is open to the public. And like I said, I'd like to encourage anybody to go to our website, take a look at that if they've got an interest in joining us. We do have a fee attached to it, but there are some scholarships available. So if anybody has an interest at all, please reach out to us and give us a call. The second thing, and don't confuse Elevate SGV with Elevate Ed AZ. Now, this is a program, it's a workforce development program. We are partnering, we just signed the MOU last week. We're partnering with the Phoenix Chamber Foundation, Sarita Unified School District, the Green Valley Sarita Chamber Foundation, and the Green Valley Sarita Chamber of Commerce. It is a program that the Phoenix Chamber Foundation began in Maricopa County 5 years ago, back in 2020. And they started out with one school district, one high school. They are currently in, I believe, at least 6 different school districts in Maricopa County and more than 21 high schools. This is the first venture outside of Maricopa County. They're bringing it down here to our community. They were impressed with the Sarita Unified School District's career and technical education program to begin with. But we've identified 10 high-wage, high-demand career fields. And the program is bringing down, they're going to be a career and college coach embedded in each of the high schools, Walden Grove and Sarita High School. We're having a business liaison that we currently have an application out on our website right now. So we're taking applications and going to be hiring somebody by the middle of next month. This will be getting started this school year. And what it is it's trying to encourage students to be directed toward these 10 high-wage, high-demand career fields. So they'll be encouraging dual enrollment, credentialing programs. There will be job shadowing, job internships. So we're going to be working closely with our business community, trying to embed them with the teachers, get the teachers to actually come out into the business community. It's one thing to teach theory all day long, but how do you apply that to the actual business world? So it's going to be a really good program, really thought out, and it's a program that's been very successful in Maricopa County. We went to their graduation ceremony about a month and a half ago up in Phoenix, and listening to some of the students that had internships with Honeywell and the Mayo Clinic, things like that. We're going to be working on that down here in the Green Valley Sarita area and up into the Tucson area. So if anybody has an interest in the program, they can give me a call at the chamber if they're interested in possibly applying for that job. It's going to start out as about a half-time job, but by the end of the year, it'll become full-time. Working directly through the chamber. The other 3 positions are all hired by the Phoenix Chamber Foundation, working with the school district.
Thanks.
And then last but not least, we are proud to be hosting the Sarita State of the Town Luncheon again this year. It is scheduled for Wednesday, September the 17th. It'll be at Desert Diamond Casino. I know I've been encouraged by the mayor to get 500 people there this year. I'm happy to report that we've already got 200 registered for the event, so we're well on our way to get there. It starts at 10 a.m. with registration and a business showcase, followed by the luncheon. I think your vaunted MC,
Yes.
Mr. Dan Kavanaugh, is here in the office, or here in the room. It is on him to keep the show running on schedule. We are due to adjourn at 1 o'clock, so however much time you're going to need, you'll have to work with Mr. Kavanaugh on that. One last thing, I would like to introduce a relatively new member to our chamber, ICU Technologies. Calvin and Robert are here. Homegrown business that just started up here, and they've got some interesting technologies coming on, and we're working with them to make sure that they get everything running smoothly. So with that, I'm certainly happy to answer any questions.
That we can't, but thank you.
You got it.
Appreciate it. That was a trick question. Mr. Dan Kavanaugh.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of council. My name is Dan Kavanaugh. I reside at 3144 Saguaro West Trail in Tucson, Arizona. I look forward to seeing all of you September 17th. For 13 years, I was employed by Freeport-McMoRan at Sierrita Mine and then again at Climax Moly. This was one of my favorite political entities to work with. South of Maricopa down to Bisbee and Douglas, from Ajo to Morenci. This organization continuously excellent. Present issues, discuss differences, come up with a conclusion. So that hasn't changed since I left, and I wanted to mention how much I appreciate that. I come here tonight on a very simple item. I managed to mess up my wrist a couple weeks ago, and at night I had about maybe 40 degrees range of motion. I thought, I'm going to go to an emergency room. And I got to one of the emergency rooms where I'm on one of their boards and was told, good news, we should be able to call you back by midnight. It was 9 o'clock. And I thought, you know, maybe I can get better on my own. And thought, I'll drive home. In that time, I was talking to Dave and Trina and Fairwise, and they said, you know, the waiting room time at the emergency in Sahuarita is 7 minutes. I drove from Tucson down here. I was seen, checked in, x-rayed, chatted with the doctor, got a prescription for care, bandaged, sent home, took care of the house, went to bed, and it wasn't midnight yet. You have a fabulous resource here that I'm going to brag on my next neighborhood association meeting in Tucson. And then I told the mayor, next time I get an opportunity to talk to council, I'm going to tell them how lucky they are, and their listeners online can hear it as well. Thank you very much.
Thanks for being here, Dan. Appreciate it.
Mr. Kavanaugh, we might have a house you can buy down here, and that's a great idea.
Thank you. That's all the speaker cards I have. Does anybody else want to address the council? Seeing no movement, I will close the call to public. And now we come to council brief summary of current events. Mr. Lytle.
Nothing.
No? Debbie? Kim?
Couple of things. Today I had the opportunity to go see the Vera Rubin observation. We were invited to this, and it was outstanding. And I really recommend that people go on the website and see this. It was the first time we got to see the universe, and it's very, very impressive. I know it's been all over the news today, too, because we got to experience the conference in D.C. So that was really great at the U for hosting that. I also went to the presentation of the Sonora Corridor presentation. So I understand the concerns that people do have. We'll see what happens with that. And then I'm on the policy committee for the transportation, infrastructure, and public works. In May, our meeting got canceled, but we do have one coming up next Monday. So I sort of wanted your input on it. We have two policies issues coming up. One is bringing forth the RTAC to support the Rural Transportation Council. And so with the federal authorization bill is one. So if anyone wants to give me any input, I would love it. I know the mayor, you're on that committee. And the other one is coming forward from last year. It's again on the electric car chargers and the usage fee for the EVs. So again, if anyone wants to say anything or give me any insight, I'd love it, since that will be my first meeting. And then the only other thing I wanted to add was on Friday, Councilmember Morales and myself were sort of doing a informal coffee with council. It's going to be from 9:30 to 10:30 at the Madera Clubhouse. So if you'd like to join us for coffee and just talk to us, it's very, very informal, no agenda, but it's a nice way just to have one-on-one interaction. So, thank you.
Thank you. Diane? Kara?
I have two very quickly. 4th of July, Animex Park. I can't wait to see all of us there. It's another great event. I'm hoping that in your report, you're going to share where the fireworks will be displayed, I'm assuming.
Yep.
And the second thing I wanted to do is just ask the staff to reach out to some of the questions that were of the residents that brought up some of those questions. I know a lot of those could be answered with just a few sentences from a staff. So just ask that you do that. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. I also attended the observatory first look, and it was fascinating how many galaxies and asteroids that are flying all over the place and at a resolution that I don't think anybody's ever seen before. So I thought that was very interesting. Plus, I also was able to attend the graduation ceremony at the Sahuarita Food Bank Community Resource Center for 6 more welders. They started a program, and for this is their second cohort. I think they've got a third one coming, and they're having so much interest, they might add a fourth. But they had their first female welder graduate at this one. So it was nice to go down there and support that. And it's, a joint effort, as Randy said, to try to figure out how to get one more of the folks employed, but especially within the trades, which has been a big aging out in that sector and not enough promotion of it. But I think between the Southern Arizona construction days that Saba, ATV, and others have been doing, plus this, it was really cool to see some of these folks that would be making a lot more money as a welder than they were, and the pride and the families, and especially the little kids, to see in the most cases dad, but in other case mom, up there graduating. It was really nice. And just wanted to thank the Vice Mayor. I'm going over to help my daughter and family transition back to Langley Air Force Base from Okinawa. So I won't be here for the 4th, we'll be flying, but the Vice Mayor agreed to say a couple comments at Stars and Stripes, so thank you for filling in for that, I appreciate it. And as I mentioned earlier, our summer break starts tomorrow, and we'll not meet again until August 18th, so have fun, please come to Stars and Stripes and enjoy your summer safely. Next, we have, Madam Clerk, item number 8.
Town Manager's Report for June 2025.
Thanks, and I know our town manager will be having some brief comments, as well as probably inviting a couple of people up to address some things that have been happening lately. Shane.
Thank you, Mayor, members of the council. I was prepared to provide the typical presentation to you on the town manager's report. I'm going to deviate from that tradition tonight. There are a couple of items that I thought would be more appropriate to address with council tonight. And so I ask for your indulgence in that regard. I'd like to ask Chief Nolan and Devin to come up. Devin, you can be on cue right here, but Chief, if you want to provide the council with a bit of an update on last week's events with the explosive devices, and then I'll have Devin stand up, and I'll ask the chief to stay with Devin And Devin will provide details on the upcoming Stars and Stripes event. Very exciting to, I'm excited. Me and my family is going to be there, so we're really excited about it. And then we'll be able to answer any questions that you might have.
And Shane, just for my colleagues, obviously, they do a consolidated report that we get, so please go to that. It's a lot of good information, and Shane allowed the two speakers to speak. And the only thing I would, just a little bit cautious of our colleagues for the chief's presentation. I know there's a lot of, it'll probably be more of a one-way conversation, I think, to a large degree, because I know there are things we have to protect. So I just wanted to kind of put us on notice that we have to be a little careful on what we can ask.
We're
and
receiving information.
Yeah, we're receiving information. Good way to put it. Thank you.
We'll manage the questions, so please feel free to ask questions about both of the presentations. Just know that there's limitations on what the chief is providing, that, we may have to respect those boundaries.
Yep. Welcome, Chief.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, Madam Vice Mayor, and council members. Thanks for giving me the opportunity to speak with you tonight. And thank you, Mr. Manager, for forfeiting some of your time. I'm going to go over 4 events, of which most people have heard about 3 events. That's not to confuse you. I'm going to explain them to you. So back on June 13th, we did experience a call for service associated with a possible pipe bomb or homemade explosive. This occurred at Lago Azul, at the intersection of Lago Azul and Camino Rancho Solano. This is the north end of our lake, and right there at that T intersection. We called Pima Regional Bomb Squad through the Sheriff's Department. The Sheriff's Department runs or manages the majority of all the regional teams, so thank you, Sheriff Nanos, and thank you, Pima Regional Bomb Squad. They came out and dealt with that incident and determined that it was very likely an explosive device that had probably been attempted to ignite or explode. It wasn't done successfully. That same day, on June 13th, later in the evening, so that first call for service came to us at just after 6 a.m., and then just after 6 p.m., simply coincidence, the resident or a resident called in an additional suspicious device. And this was on Camino Rancho Cielo and Camino Rancho Solano. And this was later determined to be on a walking path and what the officers at the time described as a smoke bomb. So it's near the 4th of July. Welcome to Arizona. Not only is it hot, but people like to light off fireworks, etc. There's a lot of them available right now. And we believe this was a homemade device and more likely a smoke bomb that was lit and then burned itself out on the path, indicated by some burn marks on that path. So that was treated as a fireworks case, although somebody beefed it up and added some additional flash powder, which is typically not gunpowder, but flash powder, typically what a firework is made of. Additionally, after those 2 events, on June 20th, just after 5 a.m., a resident called in a suspicious item, and we believe this was a homemade explosive device. And this was at Parque del Sol, or right next to it, East Camino Rancho Tierra and Camino Rancho Larga Vista. And this particular device was also handled by PRBS, Pima Regional Bomb Squad. So we called them out. So the first one, Pima Regional Bomb Squad came out. The second one, Patrol handled it as a firework, a beefy firework, but handled that. And this third one, Pima Regional Bomb Squad came out again and rendered it safe. They do that a variety of different ways through technology and different devices and equipment. So I will not speak for Pima Regional Bomb Squad. They're actually quite sophisticated. They're very good at what they do. And they came out and dealt with that. The same day, later in the evening, one of our local residents found an additional device. And this is realistically another homemade explosive device. And this was at Camino Larga Vista and Camino Presidio Quemada. And this one
was apparently a pipe bomb as well. Pima Regional Bomb Squad came out and dealt with that one. So those are 4 separate events. One of them is realistically a fireworks call. We're going to have lots of those. And 3 of them were suspicious devices that we believe at this time were homemade explosive devices. These are extremely dangerous. I spoke with Green Valley News today, as well as KOLD today with an interview, and explained that if people run into these things, they see them, it doesn't look right, simply call 911, no other number, 911. We will come out and check into it. So each time our officers responded quickly, promptly, professionally, etc., we're looking to save people and property. And the one device of these 3, I can't remember exactly which one, was literally collected by Pima Regional Bomb Squad. They're going to examine that for forensic evidence and see what we can learn from that. Forensic evidence is everything from fingerprints to DNA to trace evidence, something that comes off you and it leaves there at the scene, or is left at the scene there. So another one they rendered safe there on scene, and they collected that. So at least 2 of these devices have been collected. We'll examine those forensically. We won't do that. We will work with our partners. Sahuarita is a very good police department. We do very good work. However, this is not one of our areas of expertise. Pima Regional Bomb Squad came in and helped us, and obviously we will be contacting ATF, which is really now ATFE, but nobody calls it that, alcohol, tobacco, firearms, and explosives, as well as FBI. So we worked with these agencies before. We work with numerous either state or federal agencies. They work well with us. This is why you've heard me say it for the last 10 years. Nobody can do it all. Not even America's largest police department, New York City. They call in the feds, they call in state resources, etc. So, and they got, I think, 37,000 police officers, not counting the civilians. So with that, after this last device, this last Friday in the evening, we did call out our Criminal Investigations Bureau, our detectives. They've been working since the 13th to try to identify the first device, then the second one earlier in the morning. Now they actually are responding out on scene to get a clearer picture of what patrol was dealing with. We did a neighborhood canvass, which means our officers walked the area looking for additional devices. They also requested through the County Sheriff's Department, so again, thank you, Sheriff Nanos again, for coming out with an ordnance dog or a bomb dog that sniffs for certain types of explosive devices, or explosives, I should say. And we walked areas with that dog for at least a couple hours looking for more that might have been left or not seen by others. We don't know how long these had been out there. Some of them are fairly beat up and looked a little rough. So it's possible somebody in the attempt to make a bigger boom or bang goes out at these locations to light these things off or ignite them, and it either goes bang and nobody reports it, which is possible, or it doesn't fully ignite or explode. So we'll let our EOD techs advise us on that. They're going to be the greater expert on that. So we've done neighborhood canvasses. The very next day, actually the evening of the 20th, last Friday, they did the general area, and then they walked several blocks in different directions, knocking on doors, asking for people that might have cameras. So most of them, the more popular one right now is probably Ring cameras, but surveillance cameras, etc. They have a few of our residents that are saying they will check their recordings. I will have detectives check back with those residents. We all get busy. Sometimes they forget. And with this said, they continued that neighborhood canvass the next morning. So they didn't just end it that night. They went out the next morning again. I believe after having some discussion with our Commander Amato that runs the Special Services side of the police department, and Lieutenant Carlson, not to be confused with Commander Carlson, different people, no relation, and our Detective Sergeant Navarrete, they will be working on some additional canvassing attempts. I did speak with Kim Smith, one of the reporters there with Green Valley News this afternoon, and I've asked her to specifically include in an article I believe she's going to prepare that if people have recordings of stuff that they think is suspicious, to simply call 911. So here in Sahuarita, we're fortunate. There's only one number to remember, 911. We will send an officer out to them. We'll help review it. If they're not able to have us review it, the officer will provide a link that will take their recording, remotely upload it to our system, evidence.com, which you all approved a few years back. Thank you. Makes it much simpler. It'll go into evidence.com, and then detectives or others can view those recordings to see if what they think is suspicious has any validity to it. So there may be an option there. We've done a media release on this. I've spoken with KOLD, Green Valley News. We may have other members of our PIO or public information officers speak with others. And again, we will supply the link if they come back out and talk with us about what they think is suspicious. So these devices are dangerous. That's why they go bang. And as I was explaining to Kim Smith today, please make it a point. Unfortunately, some young folks, and maybe not so young folks, think that they can build these devices and somehow it's safe and they're simply making a loud noise. What we have found is there is nothing that we have information on at this point that they were trying to attach it to infrastructure or in a particular location, particularly to harm anybody, anything like that. One was found out in the middle of the street. One was found off a sidewalk, etc. So we're looking at that. And so while they are very dangerous, we don't want people to handle them. We want people to call 911. We don't have info that is targeting any particular person or area or neighborhood or anything like that. We have to remember a third of our population roughly is in Rancho Sahuarita. So there's a lot that happens there. Again, I think I've talked about 4th of July and people sometimes making adjustments to their fireworks or firecrackers. There's a difference between a firework and a firecracker. One makes noise, lights, and shoots up in the air, and the other one goes bang. And so info available to us now indicates the devices have been what I've described to the media, basic, still dangerous. I don't think they were sophisticated, but I repeat, they're dangerous, so that's why we want to take precautions. So I think you've probably all been advised through different communications, et cetera, that we have cordoned off areas. Sometimes it takes an hour, sometimes it takes 3 hours. And there's a distance. I was asked about how dangerous this could be and the area that it could impact. Typically, most bomb squads are going to say, give us 300 feet. There's 300 feet for a variety of reasons. It could be that's the explosion or blast area. It could also be, I don't want to be bothered by anybody else. The technician needs to concentrate on only what they're doing. And if somebody crosses that line, we need time to respond as they're going in one direction and officers are heading them off. So I wouldn't look at it as 300 feet is the rule. We'll go with their recommendation pretty much every single time. So I do have a few minutes. If you have questions, I may be able to answer some of them.
And I'm assuming, the adage, if you see something, say something, and that would be always to 911, right? If anybody sees anything suspicious, it's important just to, not only for it to be logged, but also to be, because the triage happens at the Pima County system, right, to where they know if it's coming from Tucson or from Sahuarita. But I know you are always out there saying 911 is your best phone number to say something.
When in doubt, 911 every single time. Nobody's going to get yelled out for calling 911. Right. So yes, and Kim Smith and I talked about that today. If you see something, say something. If you're experienced or become aware of something, say something, etc. And that would be our goal here. More people talking about it will help. There's a lot of chatter on social media. I'll make this as clear as I can. I don't think boss, you could give me enough personnel to keep up with what goes on social media. So, and I don't think that's our role, to be frank. People can get on social media in a matter of seconds, put something out that gets everybody all worked up, and they believe it's gospel or truth or accurate. And it is somebody from perhaps the cheap seats making a comment, or somebody with a legitimate concern making a comment, but it sort of ignites a conversation or fears. And we just physically, literally can't keep up with all those comments. There's lots of platforms out there, etc. And there's a lot of folks that troll on there and put all sorts of stuff out there to be inflammatory, insulting, etc. So those are other areas where if you're going to put it out there because you have a concern and you say, hey, I reported it, I put it on social media, you haven't reported it to the police department, call 911. If you're that concerned about calling 911, I wouldn't be. That's what they're there for, to answer those calls.
Yeah, absolutely. And obviously, I think it goes without saying, we take everything like this very seriously. It's always being investigated. And just like we've had this last school year, a couple of incidences at each of our high schools, we don't quit until we try to get to the bottom of it, correct?
That's correct. And thank you, Mr. Mayor, for that follow-up. We do take these very seriously. You'll see a PSA, a public service announcement, probably coming out tomorrow that we were working on today. And it talks about we are assertively, we are aggressively investigating this. We will, I think the council's aware of this. We've been from the East Coast to the West Coast to mountain states, et cetera, doing follow-up. We've been to the South, we've been to Alabama, New York, et cetera.
One was Puerto Rico, where we found
Yes,
it.
and we can reach out to Puerto Rico and do this stuff through our relationships with our federal partners and other states. So, yes, we're taking this seriously, yes, and then you'll find this in the PSA. When we find you, and I certainly believe we will, you will be arrested, and we will adamantly request prosecution through the county attorney's office.
Thank you.
Sure.
Any questions on the phone? Yes, Diane?
Chief Nolan, were these devices all found in the same general area?
Yes, I'd say within an approximate mile. When you look at it on the map, it looks spread out much more, but it's not a long distance to travel. And there's a swath, an area that once you look at it on a map, it goes, hey, it's this general area. And 3 devices, and the reason why I believe they're probably linked is because they sort of look alike, they're sort of constructed alike. They're roughly the same size, that kind of stuff. I realize the media has put out pictures, perhaps, of one of the devices that did not come from the Sahuarita Police Department. That's why I believe they're connected. Sort of looks the same size, et cetera.
So if they were found in the same general area, and I know, thank you for checking the Ring doorbells, whoever calls 911 and shares that with the police department, that's terrific. But what about something like game cameras put up, or any local cameras being used if it's in this, same general geographic area?
If there, can I answer that one? If there is, we wouldn't want to say that, probably.
I can't make any comment
Okay.
on that. I will say the Sahuarita Police Department will use any and all available technology we have access to.
Thank you. One more.
Yep.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks, Chief. Appreciate it. And thank all the officers. I know when the incidences we have usually are rare, but I know we jump all over it, and the officers spend hours and hours and hours that the public doesn't see, we don't see. But I know there's a lot of effort that goes in to keeping our community safe, which we've always been known for, so.
Yes, as much as I would love to put out Nixle alerts, Facebook updates, et cetera, every 30 minutes, that's an unrealistic expectation. And I think the important part of doing this is getting accurate information out to the public. So if I'm going to be quoted on something, this may be one of those important points. I would rather get you accurate information so you know what you're dealing with, as opposed to, here's our best guess, and then find out our best guess is wrong.
Right.
And then people go, you guys can't get anything straight. So at times we have to make our best guess, but when we're relaying information to the public, I'd like it to be as accurate as possible.
Right, and I know sometimes you have to keep stuff close to the vest because it could jeopardize the investigation, which you don't want to do.
Yes.
Right. Thank you, appreciate it. Devin?
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. Mr. Dilly, thank you for a bit of your time. So to provide a summary for Sahuarita Stars and Stripes for the event itself, wanted to just offer some clarification. I know there's been some questions tonight. For the event itself, it's going to kick off at 5 p.m. at Animax Park. We've got 4 fields, field 1, 2, and 3 being the softball and 2 baseball, field 4 being the soccer field, the multi-purpose field. Field 1, we're going to have a partner, the Santa Cruz Valley Car Nuts is going to be hosting a car show. We're expecting 25 vehicles with their drivers and plus ones talking about the vehicles. Field 2 and 3, we should have about 75 marketplace vendors, as well as 25 food trucks servicing through the night with live music. And then Field 4, we're kind of taking a block party style approach for Stars and Stripes. We've got a partnership working with Triple Play. They're going to be bringing out 30 cornhole sets. So there'll be cornhole, and then we've got a ton of yard games and rideables. They're like little riding vehicles that people are going to be able to explore the fields with. So it's going to turn out to be a good event. And then, lastly, this is going to be our first signature event with the Splash Pad active. So we're excited. So bring sunscreen, bring your trunks, your towels, everything you need to be able to utilize that facility. At 9 o'clock, we've had some confusion. We've pitched to you all, Mayor and Council, in the fall of last year, a pivot away from our traditional fireworks into something different. We came back in the spring with this idea of a drone show firework hybrid approach, which we had support on. So we will have that show at 9 o'clock. It'll be a hybrid of a drone show provided by Open Sky Drones and our pyrotechnic company, Randy Raymond Pyrotechnics, will be there to do ground pyrotechnics. Not the same size as our historical shows. Again, reminder of what we talked about over the last year. The size of that fallout was our constraint for the safety. This will be able to be contained within Animax Park, and we've been working with our partners with Santa Rita Fire District as well as Sahuarita Police Department to contain that at Animax Park. It'll be a smaller ground pyrotechnics with a drone show and mounted pyrotechnics on the drones throughout the show. We're excited for that. Over the last month and a half, we've had some posts on social media and on our website with that information. Over the next week and a half, you're going to see that displayed more aggressively to get the word out. We're also going to try to highlight regionally what's occurring. If people are looking for that firework display, that's going to be happening in our region, so we'll start to share that information as well. But I'd like to end by highlighting, with every signature event, it's months of planning, and part of that is with our partners at Santa Rita Fire Department on the EMS medical side, and the Sahuarita Police Department for the security. And I know that that's been part of what's been drummed up this Tie and Connect. So we thought it made sense to share what the event was going to be and the planning we've put together to make sure that it was safe for the community. So,
Thank you.
yeah, absolutely.
Any questions? Any questions? No.
Yeah.
Oh, Diane?
Clarification, so it will be visible, the drone show will be in Animax and it will be clearly visible?
Yes, so the drone show has a viewing area of 3 miles. Over the last few times we've had the drone show, this will be the biggest one we have, 250 drones. We've got scaled up over the years from 150. I've heard from multiple people that they've been far away being able to see it. Our providers told us 3 miles as a radius to be able to see it. The mounted pyrotechnics, I would assume, would be viewable as well. The ground pyrotechnics, I've been told in the neighborhood of a ½ mile to 3/4 of a mile to be able to view.
But we want to be at Animax.
You want to be at Animax, yep.
Devin, Mayor?
Yes.
Devin, what what can we expect when we get there and we are watching this drone show with mounted pyrotechnics up in the air? I mean, what are we really to expect when we see that?
Something very unique, something new. To my knowledge, this has only been tried and developed over the last 6 months to a year. If you can remember the drone show at Fiesta Saurita, we had the images in the air. The added effect will be gerbos is I think the term, streamers, kind of sparklers, big tails flying off the drones, adding to the images.
Cool.
Okay. Yep.
Yes, Debbie.
The banners that you have up and some of the advertising in social media, I think is still misleading because it's saying fireworks and everybody's expecting the big boom. If you could kind of explain it the way you're explaining it now, I think it would be better off in the long run because I think we're still going to have a lot of upset residents if they don't see the big boom.
Yeah. So, Councilmember Morales, we are still going to have fireworks. When we talk about the fireworks shows, last year we launched up to 12 and 16-inch shells. This year we'll be down to 3-inch for this one. So we will still have fireworks, we will still have boom, but it's going to be more localized to Animax Park. However, I've had that conversation with our economic development team, and we plan over the next week to really highlight that difference, that it's going to be a smaller show. The real good viewing area is going to be at Animax Park.
I don't know if you went to either high school graduation, but I think it's more similar to how they did it because it was launched from the ground. It didn't go super, super high, but it still had a nice effect if you were there on there. And I think that's, Chief could maybe even mention, or comment, but I think that's the type of thing that we're talking about and probably easier to control from a safety fire standpoint because I know the fire department is out at both of those high school graduations as well.
That's correct. It is a smaller show. Ours is going to be a longer period of time with more fireworks number, a bit larger count. So it should be a real fun show still, integrated with the drones. But that's been a topic we've talked about with our partner in Santa Rita Fire District is the big shows are getting more difficult to contain, and we're in a dry climate, and it's been dry
and
this summer.
And
liabilities. So we think that the pivot we made a year ago was wise to be able to offer July 4th show, ideally into the future.
Thanks.
If I can, Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
So Devin and his team have been talking with me and my team as far as security. So I've made 9 of the last 10 4th of Julys here. Got unfortunately sidetracked from last year. However, I and my family will be out this year, and some of my friends will be there this year. And I appreciate not only your team, Devin's approach to this for security. There'll be a substantial PD presence there, and Lieutenant Carlson is aware of all the factors that we need to deal with. He comes to us after retiring from Tucson PD and doing all the A Mountain stuff and all the hassles that comes with, et cetera. So we'll be out there, and I think we'll have a good, safe, nice event for everybody. So
Great. Thank you. Thank you both. Appreciate it. Shane, did you want to add anything else?
No, I just appreciate the council's flexibility here tonight. These were 2, I think, very important items to bring in front of the council and the public that's viewing these proceedings. Again, just echo your encouragement, Mayor. The manager's report for this month had a lot of great information in it, a lot of new employees, being spotlighted, and so we encourage you to take a look at that.
Yep. Thank
Public
you
as well. Thank you.
Appreciate it. Madam Clerk, item number 9.
The June 2025 legislative update.
Thank you. And Mr. Marcos, Mina Marcos, our management analyst, will present that item. And if you wanted to touch on Councilmember List's, comment, I guess probably your suggestion, my suggestion would be if anybody had any comments, maybe to run them through you and you could coordinate with the council member for the subcommittees, because I know we have multiple people with the league on subcommittees.
Absolutely.
Good evening, Mayor Murphy, members of the council. For the record, Mina Marcos, Management Analyst for the Town Manager's Office. It's always a pleasure to be with you here tonight to discuss the 2025 Arizona legislative session. As of today, the legislature has been in session for a total of 162 days. A total of 1,711 bills have been introduced. You may have noticed that bill number has increased due to the introduced bills for the budget. 359 bills have been transmitted to the governor's office. 220 of those have been signed, and 193 have been vetoed. Tonight, staff will provide an update on the progress of the state budget, or lack thereof. Finally, I will briefly highlight a few remaining House and Senate concurrent resolutions that staff is still tracking, with the anticipation that after the budget is passed, staff will have a clear understanding and indication of which House concurrent resolutions and Senate concurrent resolutions will move forward. Council members, on Friday, June 13th, the House passed a $17.3 billion budget on party lines and sent that budget over to the Senate. The majority in the House did not vote on the House budget. The majority in the Senate did not vote on the House budget and then proceeded to craft its own budget along with the governor and input from both minority parties after weeks of negotiation. Just before 2 a.m. last Friday, the Senate passed its own version, the $17.6 billion budget, and vetoed to recess with the intention to adjourn sine die. Majority leaders in the House announced that that same day that they will not be taking up the proposition of the Senate, as they did not have the votes to pass the budget, and they felt that they were forced into a corner, into a take or leave it situation, and now look to pass a continuation budget, essentially a short-term budget with no changes from the spending of the current budget. As of now, the House and the Senate remain at odds, and it's unclear how negotiations will proceed. Turning over briefly to highlight the components of each budget, noting that the outcome of the final budget will have different changes. The House budget includes 5% raises for the Department of Public Safety and Corrections officers, a 2.5% reduction in state and local college students, and $94 million for infrastructure projects. The budget also includes $255 million in Medicaid cuts, property tax exemptions for veterans with disabilities, and income tax breaks for adoptive families. Finally, the House budget would also give the state more than $400 million in positive cash balance heading into the next fiscal year. On the state budget, or the Senate's budget, it is going to be approximately $300 million more than the House budget with no structural cuts. The Senate budget includes funding for health care, an extension for tax breaks for public school contributions and initiatives to address homelessness. Both the Senate and the House budget proposals provide money for new fire alarm systems at Yuma State Prison, a new electric system at DPS headquarters, and appropriations for the Department of Water Resources to be focused solely on litigation purposes related to the water rights litigation for the Colorado River. As budget negotiations continue, council members, staff will provide updates to council by email, and we hope to quickly turn around a 2025 legislative summary within the following days after the legislative session finishes. As discussed before, all House and current resolutions and state concurrent resolutions that have moved both chambers are currently sitting in rules, with their final destination not being the governor's desk, but the ballot box. One particular HCR that we're focused on is HCR 2021 that has advanced on the House floor, passed, and now heads to the ballot for the 2026 election, which is the food tax, which will require cities and towns that currently have a food tax at 2% can remain at their existing rates. However, municipalities with a food tax below 2% still must require voter approval and cannot exceed that 2% cap. Finally, council members, I'd like to bring your attention to the nomination and successful passage of Karen Peters through the Committee on Director Nominations for the directorship of ADEQ. Staff has been tracking this nomination process as it relates to Sahuarita's vested relationship with ADEQ on state land issues and the FUD site. In relation to Councilmember Lisk, your two policy proposals, I will be attending the meeting tomorrow, and I will ask that you and I have a larger and broader discussion about the two policy proposals, as with the other council members who are present on any of the policy committees, and I would be more than willing to discuss and kind of elaborate, and then bring over to council a larger discussion on those resolutions in the August in the August meeting. And with that, Mayor Murphy and council members, I'm available for questions.
Thanks. Anybody have any questions? Thanks for continuing to track and being involved and assisting us. Appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Thanks, Mina. Item number 10 is the consent agenda. I'll entertain a motion at this time.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Carries unanimously. Madam Clerk, item number 11A, please.
Discussion and possible adoption of ordinance 2025-185 regarding solid waste and recycling collection fees.
Thank you. And Daniel Logan, our Deputy Works Director, will present this item. And good evening. Thanks for being here.
Good evening. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, Vice Mayor, Council, Town Manager. Thank you. Yes, everybody knows me as the trash guy. My part-time gig is, of course, Deputy Public Works Director here at the town of Sahuarita. Thank you for this opportunity. Short and sweet, and then we can talk about a few other things if you would like to. This is for the finalization of our current rate, which will be in place for the next 4 years. The $22.75 a month, $68.25 for the quarter. Yes, we've already gone through the contract. This is what we negotiated with our contracted provider. Simple as we needed to post it out to the public, put it out on our website. Thank you to the town clerk's office for the help. Victor and his team in the PIO office, getting all that out to the public, making them aware, posting it for the required 60 days. John for reviewing it, thank you very much. It was a team effort to get it this far, and then what we're asking is council to put it into ordinance. Therefore, it becomes our fee. We own it for our residents.
Thank you. Any questions for Daniel? No? Shane, did you want to add anything?
No, this was just agendized for the rate.
Yes.
I was thinking if I could get creative, but I can't.
You
Yeah,
have
it's just the
someone's going
rate.
to punch you next to you if you do that.
I know,
so.
he was getting ready. Thanks.
Mike?
On?
Yep, no.
I can get creative, that the bin share agreement is done, and Daniel will be able to put it on the website as early as tomorrow if he's good with the form.
I was going to speak to that, John, as soon as we were done with this ordinance, if that's okay, council?
Well, this is probably...
Or I can't.
Yeah,
Okay.
this is probably the...
Then let me tag it in. Yes, it's
I
in
was trying to
draft.
get creative and going there, but if the
Okay.
attorney does it, I'm.
Yeah, no, I have a draft form. I would ask for 72 more hours just to go through it, finalize the draft, and then Monday morning it will be up.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Yep.
And just, documents obviously can be signed electronically, so if it can be set up to be signed electronically amongst neighbors, it would be very simple online system, click the box here. We're doing it, as Anna mentioned last meeting, we're doing the over-the-counter building permit, and we set it up so that you could essentially click this box and that's your signature. So it should be a rather simple process to do these agreements, fill in a few blanks in a fillable form. And that's probably what's going to take longer is
Yes.
creating the fillable
Yes.
form.
Right.
Literally putting the signature block in digital format, because right now, John and the legal team have already got it to the finish line. I just need to put those signature blocks on, get it out to the public.
Right.
But,
Thanks.
but there are still parameters to that program being successful. Is that correct? Like you can't have one home here on this street and another home on a different street.
Yes.
They
So
have, so I'm just saying, I mean, there are parameters for that program to work.
there is, and they're clearly outlined in the contract, and we've been publicizing that, and I will share that. The adjacent properties, so neighbors, and then you lose the ability for bulky because there's twice the households going into that.
Right,
So,
okay.
yeah.
Okay, great. And I forgot, John, that's the item you wanted to speak to, item number 11. So before if we didn't have any questions for Danny, I'll open up. John, come on up.
So just a couple little things here. First, thank Mayor and Council for the way you've handled this issue. You know, we raised issues in Madera Highlands, and you guys really came through and all show that you care, so appreciate it. One of the things that's been brought to me by several people, and I don't know how true this is, and you guys might know the answer already, but I thought it was worth asking. People have said that by having trash collection bins and recycling collection bins, that they're under the belief that those trucks dump all that stuff together, and they are not doing any sorting on recycling, is what I've been told. If that's the case, we could save another 50% on the trucks. So I just wanted to raise that. I know you can't respond probably, but.
Well, we can probably respond.
This is not during call to public, so we can respond to those
Okay,
questions.
excellent. Yeah, thanks. So,
Two separate locations, they're not gonna be the same.
okay, perfect, because I know people like recycling, but if it wasn't go and handled right, what's
Actually,
the
let's,
point?
if we can, let's just have Dan step up and just answer that question, please.
I'll go on and on.
Just real quick.
Yep. Apache Junction is a material recovery facility. Everybody is welcome to go and visit. They do hand recycling there. They do use inmate crews. That is nowhere near the landfill. The landfill is here just on the north side of Tucson.
Okay, thank you.
Separate locations.
And then another thing I wanted to bring up is that we know that reaching the people here, the residents, is always a challenge. And I just wanted to put my 2 cents worth in. I think Doug brought this up before, right? On the very front of it, next steps for all residents. Being in Madera Highlands, this doesn't apply to us, but that wasn't made clear on here, and it could create an uproar of people unnecessarily trying to find out what's going on. Not everybody pays full attention, and I was concerned that the messaging could be a little confusing, and just wanted to mention that. A bunch of social media posts are put up the same way. Now, in the FAQs, it's addressed in there, but most people don't know to go there, right? If they're saying all residents, why look any further? Right. So I just wanted to pull that up. And then I just wanted to throw in, as far as getting the counts of the Fiesta and stuff, off topic a little bit, take an overhead photo and ask AI to count the number of people there. Thank you.
Mayor, can I ask
We're
John
going
a
to do
question?
face recognition too on that, so. Yes.
So, are 100% of the Madera Highland properties and homes under the current contract, or are there some that do their own thing?
The HOA required us, it wasn't within the rights of the the agreement, what's it?
CC&Rs?
CC&Rs or whatever, right? But they demanded that everybody, that was the only official provider in there. And so I know in some of the FAQs, I meant to bring this up too, there's an offer made in there that if residents want to go over to the new one sooner, like with everybody else, they could be stepping on the toes of the HOA in doing that. So
The town's intent is to honor the terms of the current contract in place.
yeah, the FAQs on the website goes a slightly different way on that. It says if
Explain
they-
that.
So if
So our intent is to honor that contract.
Yeah, absolutely.
But we're not going to turn somebody down if that's their choice. If they want to jump on board with our program, I don't see why they would do that right now, because you have a more favorable rate.
Absolutely. My point is that the HOA says they have to stay with the plan they've got.
So we don't anticipate anybody doing that, but there are other neighborhoods that had contracts as well.
Right.
And so what you see there is a blast to communicate to everybody.
Right.
And the property owners need to manage their own affairs as it relates to their agreements with either the current vendor or under their HOA. So it gets really tough to put out a whole bunch of different,
Right.
yeah, pieces of material.
But
So-
it was specifically talking about Madera Highlands, and I know from being there as long as I've been that it goes against what the HOA would do. But I do get your point, absolutely. And, the potential change to this could be extremely simple. An asterisk, put except Madera Highlands, whatever, just to be a little more clear.
Yeah,
So it's
we've identified that as well. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thanks, John. Appreciate it very much. Thanks, Daniel. And if no more questions from the council, I'll entertain a motion at this time.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
I move to adopt ordinance number 2025-185.
I second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thanks, and thanks for the continual hard work getting this done. Let's see,
12A.
item number 12, which we refer to as a special meeting to adopt the final budget for fiscal year 2026. Madam Clerk, if you want to read the quick summary of number 12.
Certainly. Is a public hearing and possible adoption of resolution number 2025-0826, adopting the fiscal year 26 budget.
Thank you. And we have a return visit from A.C. Mariotti, our finance director, not our district finance person. And after the presentation, if there's any questions for AC, we can do that. We have to open a public hearing, but please proceed.
All right, Mr. Mayor, members of the council, we're almost across the finish line. A lot of work involved here in producing this budget. But tonight, after the public hearing, you'll have an opportunity to adopt the fiscal year 2026 budget, which commences on Tuesday next week. So we've already spent a lot of time talking about the budget. Many of those times have been in a public setting. And so tonight's presentation is going to be the most abbreviated version of any of the presentations you've seen in the past.
Are you looking for a standing ovation?
Tonight is really about providing an opportunity to the public, even though the public's always had that opportunity to talk about the budget process when we've had it on the agenda. But tonight was specifically advertised as a public hearing, and the budget was produced in the paper as well so that the public could peruse it. And we advertised tonight as being a public hearing. So with that being said, it's more about listening than listening to me talk, listening to the public. All right, so with that, the 2026 budget is programmed at $109,787,630. What you're going to see tonight is the same budget that was adopted a month ago, the tentative budget. There have been no changes to it. The budget is balanced in that our financing sources are equivalent to our financing uses. And the 2025 budget is $9.7 million less, or 8% less than the current year's $119.5 million adopted budget. Okay, some updates since the tentative budget. Mina's already talked about the state budget. And we don't have a state budget yet, and there's a lot of interesting things going on with the state legislature, and I don't know what the prospects of having a budget anytime soon even are. And that was from an update provided by the League of Cities and Towns as of this morning. But the proposals that have all been laid out, none of them have a direct detrimental impact to the town, so I think it's safe for us to move forward without, expecting anything earth-shattering coming down the road, hopefully, anyways. If something happens during that process, and if there's something that has a significant impact to our budget, obviously we can come back during the year and make amendments as necessary. The only thing that we can't do is increase the overall budget. One of the things that I heard about today, it's not directly related to the state budget process. There is the House Bill 2704, which is known as the Diamondbacks bill, that looks like it's going to pass. I think there's a little bit of surprise to that, but that's what the league is saying as of this morning anyways. If it passes, effective on January 1, 2026, that would be mid-budget cycle, the state sales taxes that are collected at the baseball field in Phoenix, Chase Field, and any income taxes that are generated from the baseball ownership or what the baseball players make would go into a separate pot that's set aside from the state shared revenue distribution pot. So it would lower the overall available money that would come to the town. Now, this doesn't directly affect us, but indirectly it does, because obviously we get a share of that based off of our population proportionate to other municipalities. The league is saying that on the state sales tax side, it's clearly immaterial. Their estimates would peg it at about $780,000 statewide. So that's less than 0.1% of what we collect. So I don't believe there's any reason to amend what you have before you. That certainly falls within the margin of error of our forecasting. On the income tax side, it's certainly a lot harder to predict that. But the league is working on coming up with an estimate, but they do feel confident in suggesting that that too is also going to be extremely immaterial. But I think the bigger problem that we have with this is more the principle at play, right? Last minute decisions being made that erode local jurisdictions' state shared revenues. And certainly that's something that we don't control, right? And we've seen this over the years historically as well, that periodically they go to state shared revenues to address some issue that they have at the state level. So this is just another example of that, unfortunately. Even though it's not necessarily material, it's still not a great thing. Another update, and Shane talked about this at the last meeting, is that the U.S. Census Bureau population estimates came in. The July 1, 2024, so their estimates are a year behind where we are today, actually. Peg us at 37,448 people in the town. That's a 3% growth rate from the 2023 year estimate. Clearly, there's been a lot of growth in the town, so we can be confident in knowing that today's population is going to be higher than the number you see there. That number is important because that's the number that's used to distribute state shared revenues to the local jurisdictions. And this number came in 297 people higher than our own estimates were when we were putting together our budget and doing our forecasting. So when you look at our forecasting relative, then to what it would be now with this higher population number, that has a positive impact to us of about $157,000. But that too kind of falls within the margin of error of our forecasting. It's good news. I mean, this would cover any shortfalls related to that bill I talked about earlier for sure. But we're not proposing any changes be made to the budget as a result of this. And when we're talking about new revenues, right, if we wanted to incorporate that anyways, that would actually increase our overall budget, which we can't do. So all that to say, no changes from what you adopted a month ago in the tentative budget. So the budget has to be put together and is adopted legally at the fund and department level. So we'd be remiss if we didn't talk about the fund budgets, at least to a certain extent. So tonight I'm going to summarize it a little more than I have in the past, but we use fund budgeting for compliance purposes to demonstrate to decision makers, to demonstrate to our constituents or population that we're using money how it's supposed to be used, right? Money isn't always free and we could do whatever we want with it, right? The certain money that we receive has limitations on its use. There could be legal limitations, there could be contractual limitations, donations often come with restrictions on how we can use the money. And so when money comes with those restrictions, we color it a different color, so to speak. And we account for that activity separately from sort of our general funds. And again, we do that for compliance purposes. And when the auditors come here, they audit us in accordance to those rules, whether they're externally generated rules or our own rules that we put on ourselves. So here's how the budget shakes out across our 8 funds. And keep in mind that each fund has a balanced budget where financing sources equal uses. What stands out is, like most governments, the general fund is the largest aspect or largest fund within our overall budget. It's programmed at $68.2 million, represents 62% of the total budget. This is where our unrestricted money goes, and it's the fund that pays for the vast majority of our operations. The transportation and GARS funds are accounted for in special revenue funds of the town, with a total budget between the two of $7.9 million. And we account for our roadway costs and grants in these funds. I should say roadway maintenance, not the construction of roads. Our capital projects funds, that would be the CIF there, the Capital Infrastructure Improvement Fund, has a budget of $14.8 million. And this is where the majority of our capital projects are budgeted. Then we have our two proprietary funds, which would be the wastewater and solid waste enterprise funds. They have a total budget between the two of them of $8.6 million. And those funds account for the activities of those operations. And those are enterprise funds, proprietary funds, because they're intended to operate like a business where the fees that they charge are used to pay for all of their costs, and it's not through taxation. And then lastly, we have our two community facility district component units and one pie wedge there, whose budgets were adopted earlier tonight. Okay, so this pie chart looks at the composition of our funding sources. It identifies where we get our money from. And you can see that the largest pie wedge are our beginning fund balances at nearly half the total budget, $54.6 million. And you can think of that as our savings account that we're going to carry forward into next fiscal year. But just like a savings account, right, that's a one-time funding source. You can't, once it's used, it's gone for good. We're very reliant on revenues from other governments, and that would include our state shared revenues. We were talking a little bit about that earlier, as well as capital grants. These total $21.8 million and make up 20% of the total budget. And then next would be taxes, making up only 18% of the total budget, so that might be a little unusual for many people when they think about governmental budgeting. That's programmed at $19.4 million. And as part of this budget package, we are not proposing any changes to our tax rates or taxing structure, other than maybe what the state legislature may be pushing down on us. Charges for services total $8.4 million, 8% of the total budget, and most of this is for our user charges in our enterprise funds, both wastewater and solid waste. Licenses and permit fees are programmed at $2.1 million, and that's from revenues generated mostly from new growth and new development in the town. We have other revenues at $2.5 million, and then rounding out the sources pie wedge, we have other funding sources, $300,000, and that would be for capital project carry forward. It's a contingency amount. And then also there's a small component of that that's for the sale of assets, which when you sell your assets, it doesn't actually get recorded as a revenue. It gets recorded as an other source. That's a Governmental Accounting Standards Board for you. All right.
AC, so taxes there, that's transaction taxes.
That's going to
Or is
be
it-
our transaction privilege tax. So it's going to be the sales taxes that we collect at our local establishments, right? It's going to be any taxation that comes from online activity, e-commerce. It's going to include the CFD property taxes.
Okay.
Right. It's going to include our franchise fees are also in there.
And not construction sales tax?
Our construction contracting taxes are also included in that. Yeah, and that comes from new development. All right, so we talked about a balanced budget. So you see funding sources are equal to funding uses. First, we don't spend everything that we have. You can see ending balances, $41 million. So a sizable portion of our budget we're not intending to spend. Now, if there's an opportunity or something that pops up during the year, we could come back to you and amend our budget and appropriate some of those funds. But right now, the plan is that we're going to go into 2027 and future years with at least $41 million. So that leaves our spending budget at $68.8 million, and that's going to be spent on debt service at $6.4 million. So our business operations, our enterprise funds, right, our CFDs, and the town have issued debt to acquire infrastructure and assets for the community. And just like a mortgage, when you issue debt to pay for those big ticket items, you pay that back over time, principal and interest payments. And so that's what debt service represents. capital items at $20.3 million, and these are our big ticket costly items. And the next slide, I'll go into that a little bit more details. And then we got operations at $42.1 million, and that's 38% of the total budget. And if we drill down into that, you can see how the operation budget shakes out across our 12 departments, sorted from highest to lowest budget. And the one that stands out there is the police department with the largest budget at more than $14 million. That'd be followed by the Public Works Department budget with $12 million. And this now includes the new Solid Waste Enterprise Fund, so their budget went up fairly significantly to accommodate that operation. Parks and Recreation is the third highest with a budget of nearly $5 million. And the theme here is that those departments that provide services directly to our citizens and other constituents are the ones that typically have the larger budgets, and the administrative departments have the smaller budgets. Okay, looking at that $20.3 million capital outlay budget, $7.3 million of it goes or is accounted for in the Rancho Cerrito Community Facilities District for the acquisition of roadways from the district developer, and that would also include a railroad crossing. We've got $764,000 for payroll. That would be things like project management, construction management, that kind of thing. There's indirect cost allocations that are included in that number, as well as some non-capital improvement plan equipment. Then we have 21 capital improvement projects, most notably $5.85 million for the police department building expansion and renovation project, $1.6 million for multi-use paths on El Toro and La Vita roads. We've got 5 parks and recreation projects at $1.3 million. That includes 2 projects at Animax Park, the Animax maintenance yard expansion and Animax parking lot expansion. And Mr. Mayor, at the tentative budget, you asked about pickleball courts. And what we settled on was that when we bid these 2 projects out, we're going to do those at the same time. We'll also include as an alternative the pickleball courts. And if we have budget capacity, and when we look at the bids that we get, if we can make it happen, we'll come back to council and amend the budget during the year.
Thanks.
Okay, also there's some equipment that the Parks and Rec Department will be acquiring, and then we have $250,000 of that amount is for the get that lake park repair, that design work up and running. And that was also an initiative of the council, so I just wanted to highlight that. We have $750,000 for the Walden Grove High School traffic signal, and I believe the last I heard, the timetable on that is pretty good, and
Still on track?
it's my understanding that it should be.
Nallo's racing in.
He knows our favorite projects.
Right. Summer's ticking away, Nallo.
Thank you, AC. Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. It's just a quick update on the Walden Grove traffic signals. We're making very good progress with the project. We're still looking to be complete and up and running before the start of the school. We've already contracted a couple contractors. One is Southern Arizona Paving for the extension of the storage lane. And then Next Generation that will be working on the installation of the signals. Now, one other concern was the lead time on some of the equipment. Our public works staff are very resourceful and takes the initiative to reach out to our other agencies, and we were able to arrange for some of the equipment to be delivered from some of our other partner agencies. So we have multiple options that we're looking to explore with the installation of this. Our goal is to, again, make sure we have it up and running before the start of school.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate the update. Yep.
Thank you. That was not scripted. I appreciate you being available for that.
Thanks, Nalo.
Next, we have $550,000 for court parking lot expansion. That also includes security enhancements. And then we've got 3 technology projects for $443,000, and then 6 other projects, $946,000. That would include town hall safety upgrades. I know the council's expressed quite a bit of interest in that in the past. We've got HVAC units at town hall and courts. We've got some streets equipment, some vehicle replacements. We've got furniture and fixtures in there, and then there is odor control project design work at the wastewater treatment plant as well in that figure. Okay, so the budget can be looked at in another format at a high level. As such, we're going to start the year with $54.6 million. That's the savings account I talked about. During the year, we expect to collect about $54.9 million in revenues. We have that other resources of $300,000 to get us to total sources of $109.8 million. That's our budget figure. Our spending plan is $68.8 million, and that leaves us with ending balances of $41 million. If you look at beginning to ending balances, that's a decline of $13.6 million. Nothing to be alarmed there because it's related to our capital plan. More than half of that is in the Rancho Cerrito CFD, spending those bond proceeds, acquiring infrastructure. And the rest is really we've accumulated resources in the past to do things in the capital plan, such as the police department building expansion by way of example. So it's not an operational hit. Okay, and so with that, the final steps would be to have a public hearing, and then afterwards, council has an opportunity to make reductions or other reallocations to the budget. You just can't increase it above the tentative budget amount. And then the resolution before you would adopt the 2026 budget, and it also establishes and maintains our current $6 million level of rainy day reserves in the general fund. Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Any questions for AC before I open the public hearing to our 6 remaining guests in the audience, who I all know by name? So at this time, I'll open the public hearing. Would any of you like to address the council? Seeing no movement, I will close the public hearing and then entertain a motion. Yes.
I move to adopt Resolution 2025-0826.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, AC. Thanks to the whole team, all our staff. I love how we get here nowadays by having the budget retreat. Thank you, Shane. I think it's clearer, much better for us to understand, so we're not having to guess at the dais, so we really appreciate that very much.
Mayor, I know that
Yes.
AC explained this on the front end, but this really does represent the conclusion of a rather long and extensive effort, not only for staff, but for council as well. So really appreciate the support throughout the entire process that council shows staff as we take these necessary steps. So thank you very much.
No.
And kudos to AC and his team.
Absolutely. Well, and you have an advantage when you have 7 traffic engineers that sit up here as we're going through some of these things. Having no more further business, we're adjourned. I hope take pictures at Stars and Stripes, if you would, for me. And thank you. Appreciate it.
Hug that grandbaby.
I will. And you said that worked? Yes. So